the Reverend Reid. Evan has been a seeker of truth since a teenager, and these explorations led him to the New Thought movement. He believes that any form of thinking that enslaves the mind is limiting to our development as spiritual beings who have enormous potential. The Reverend Reid teaches that as spiritual beings, we are always in the process of expansion, which is first and foremost mental. Evan offers that each moment is an opportunity to see and do things differently by remaining open and receptive, and by not allowing the mind to be clouded and conformed to past beliefs and opinions. He is the senior minister of Verity Center for Better Living. He is an international speaker. He has authored 2 books, but more than this, he is a member of the CUT family. Christ Universal Temple, I'm excited to introduce to some of you and present to others our very own, the Reverend Evan Reid.
When Dr. Wells was speaking, I didn't even know he was speaking about me. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Reverend Wells, for the invitation. Thank you, CUT. Happy 61st birthday. The theme is Grow We Must. In order to grow, we must forget the things of the past that brought us here. So anything that is in your mind right now, I'd like you to set aside for a moment. Set aside all the theological positions you hold and come to this place right now as a spiritual dot in the universe, singular, independent, unique. And all the universe is in you. Just hold that for a moment. That you express through a body that is controlled by your mental state, that is activated by spirit. That as a spiritual being, you have no beginning, you have no end. Say with me, I'm a spiritual being, always in the process of becoming. Every moment, every person I meet, every situation I'm in, affords me the opportunity to make a conscious, deliberate act of moving forward. I will stop complaining. I will stop whining. And I would start living. To live means to move. To grow you must. To move you must. You cannot move without growing. Oh, I didn't pause for a clap, but if you did it, you want to clap more, I'll pause more often. Every life is lived from a script. A script that was written from our early days on the planet Earth. The script is made up of thoughts, self-held images of your own, designed by you, shaped by you, and formed by you. These thoughts help to build a belief system that becomes the law of your life. Every thought that you think is important to your growth. Every thought that you think is instrumental in your expression and your experience. The poet William Wordsworth says, and I quote, "The child is father of the man, human being." This suggests that from birth, or even before birth, our minds are being shaped as we observe this magnificent divine flow of infinite substance. And sooner or later, by the age of 7, we make a determined effort to control by accepting what we hold to be true as our platform for living. All of us live from a platform based on the beliefs that we hold to be true. All beliefs are subjective, personal, they are lies. They're not true. But they're your truth, not universal truth. So as we set aside all that they have told us about God, we make our minds open every moment to perceive something new, to interpret in a new way this universal substance we call God, so that we could try to live healthy, happy, and prosperous lives. By the age of 7, it is said that our attitudes are formed towards life, our personal traits are developed, and they will carry through as we become adults. The child, your early beliefs are still controlling most of your lives. Thoughts are self-created. No one can think for you. To think is to interpret this flow of energy we call God, to shape it, to form it. And whatever you shape and hold to be true will be what you will express and what you will experience. Isn't that wonderful? Say, I'm in charge. All right. Therefore, I will not allow anything on the outside to get between God and me. All ideas come from the same spirit, the same source, the same supply. An idea is an infinite, transcendent entity that is perfect. But every time it enters the mind of a human being, it becomes subjective, it becomes no longer pure, because it's an individual interpretation of the pure. You understand where I'm going with it? The idea remains perfect, but your concept of it, having been shaped by you, becomes imperfect. Don't argue with anybody. You're not right. It's an interpretation based on where you are and your ability to interpret God, this divine substance that is constantly flowing all around us. Each person is a point of view in the universe. We see what we see based on where we are. Therefore, every religious concept is a position. Ain't true. Every religious viewpoint ain't true. It's an interpretation based on the person interpreting God at that place at that time is. As a spiritual being, it means spirit is always moving. And therefore, a part of me is always moving. Where I get stuck is in my mind. By believing what's in my mind to be true. Forgetting the things of the past, I have to keep doing what? Flowing with spirit, as spirit, to take in more of spirit so I could be more spiritual. Life is not lived in a vacuum. Nature or the universe abhors a vacuum. Whenever there's a vacuum, a storm is created as newness rushes in. But the reason why we can't take in the newness, because we believe that where we are is where we ought to be. Woo. Are we good? Yeah. Now, everything that I learned came to me, I don't want to say only through JCI, but JCI was a major part of what I have come to know. So at this point in time, I want to thank the Reverend, my good buddy, my friend, my mother, the Reverend Helen Carey. Now, I was living my life as a Nowherean. Didn't go to church. But I found a center in Toronto called Christ Universal Center. And one day, I walked into that center, and I never left. My intent was to just pass through and go my way. And then a woman came from Chicago in the form of the Reverend Alberta Weir and suggested that, to Johnny that Evan would be a good fit to be the minister. And for years, I carried that burden of hate. And for the person who called me Helen, dislike. But I finally got to love them. And I love you both. Thank you very much. As I said, all ideas are perfect. Your view, because your view is at a particular point, you cannot see the whole. So every point is finite, viewing the infinite. So to view the infinite, we will have to go 360 degrees every moment. We can't do that. So individual mind has limitations. It can only see one narrow view. And until you understand that, you will never grow. Most of us try to be right because we believe that what we believe is the only belief that should be believed. Therefore, we become myopic. You know what it is? Narrow-minded. And as soon as you become narrow-minded, you become static and stale. Can't grow. Operating out of emotion. Well, it used to be this way in 1961. You mean to say I'm the only one who has not changed? Yes, you have. But mentally, you cannot admit it. Because every moment we change. Every moment we are growing. Cells in your body are dying by the millions every second. Give it up. Once we have laid down a platform of beliefs, truths that we hold to be true, we live by them. All our thoughts are filtered through them. Unless something happens to us that causes a serious emotional explosion when we could cry out and we could say, no, I cannot take this anymore. I want to live. It happened to me in 1975. I was in a doctor's office because I had a headache for about 2 years. And most of us African-American male, we hate doctors. We don't like the doctor. We're afraid to go to doctors. And I finally made up my mind one afternoon on campus that I will go, and I went. And he put me on a little bed in his office, and he said, wow, how old are you? And I told him that I was, I know you want to guess. He put the blood pressure cup on my arm, and he looked at me again. He said, how old are you? He said, your blood pressure is 150 over 190. He said, if you get up from here, you can get a stroke. He says, you are a heart attack victim. I was of age. I could be honest, I'm 76. So. That happened 40 years ago, and I'm still here. I remember laying there and saying to myself, as 4 eyes focused on the back of my head, those are my 2 children's eyes, and all I could hear, God, I want to live. God, I want to live. It's the first time in my life I realized how important it is to live and how living means moving, not held up and parked mentally in a condition of trying to be who you are not. In the next 2 years, I began to research stress and its importance in body function. I realized that stress was very, very good. It helps people to grow. But when stress becomes tension, fighting within yourself because you don't know who you are. One day you're black, next day you're something else. You got to make a decision who you are. I am a spiritual being, period. Nothing else will do. And I got to start living from that belief system, that platform, and everything I do, I must do from that platform. Change is possible when I get honest with myself and I become authentic and I start to live out of my spiritual self, not out of what people have said I am. Each one of us is spirit, mind, body. The only thing different with each one of us is the content of the mind. Change the content, change your life, change your expression, change your experience. I'm not giving you it. What you're clapping for, I'm not giving you anything new. You come to JCI, you get that every day. Don't clap me. Clap Johnny. Clap Helen. Clap the teachers of JCI. Reverend Winston. Clap all these people. Don't clap me. When you realize who you are, something changed. I had an insurance investigator who came home about 18 months after and checked my blood pressure. And she said, child, you're like a little baby. I began to work with my mind. I was not a new thought. I began to work on my own. And it's through the power of meditation and breathing and declaring that I am a spiritual being at oneness with God. And if God is health, then I am health. So when I walked into JC and I hear this stuff, I couldn't believe it. I didn't want to be a minister, but Alberta suggested to Johnny that I become a minister. In each life, change is only possible when we come to that place in our lives when we can't take the suffering anymore. We have a Moses experience. I have seen the affliction of my people who are in Egypt, and I'm here to stop that rush of energy going out. I need to harness this energy. Go tell the people of Israel, it's time to get out of hell. When is your time to get out of hell? How long have you been suffering? How long have you been waiting for Jesus to come back? He's not coming. The Christ is in you already. Moses is in you already. Joshua is in you already. If you want a battle to fight, the battle is within you because God is going to win for you. Woo, stop fighting, man. Come to know who you are and whose you are. Sometimes there's a parable about a man who had 2 sons. And the younger one said, Father, this life is good, but I think I could have a better life. Give me all that you can give me. And it says he went out on his own. And when he began to suffer, like most of us, it says he came to his senses and he went back. It's a story being told the same way as the children of Israel in the wilderness. Sometimes the children of Israel didn't get there by themselves, They carried themselves there. Nobody took them there. And they stayed there because they liked it. So sometimes in our lives, we like where we are because we like to tell that story. Oh, guess what, girl? We like to tell the story, the old story. We like to tell that. It's time you tell a new story, what God has done for you. Even in the midst of trials, God has set me free because I wanted to be free. You see, I can't be free until I desire to be free. You are stuck because you want to be stuck. It's not that you don't know any better. You know. But you live in the land of separation. And wherever you believe that you are separate, you could never find unity with God. Sometimes I have discovered that when you want to move, you don't have to look further than your eyes to see the elements that could help you move. My ex-wife. If you don't like it in Egypt, all you have to do is to lift your foot and get out. Don't blame anybody. Everybody has a right to their opinion because they are right according to their situation and their position in life. If you don't like it, walk away. Change is possible when we are willing to expand and journey to a new land that God will show us. And sometimes we are journeying, oh, this is it. We meet a new person and you say, well, I'm grounding here. No, you don't decide where you're going. You let go and just let God guide you because you don't know where you're going to fall. The apple doesn't know when it's going to fall, where it's going to fall, and who will get it. Just surrender to God. This universe is friendly. It does not mean you any harm. God is so good that anybody that God places in your midst is there to really help you. Come to your senses. Spirit is never static. Mind is the connecting link between the invisible, the infinite, and you the finite. When you stop trying to define yourself, you will start finding yourself, and you will be on a journey of refining what you have found, moment by moment. Let go. Let God. Of yourself, you can do nothing. You have this great instigator and motivator inside of you. Let it do its work in and through you. Stop trying to tell it what you do. So when you go to pray, shut your mouth. And just let God tell you what to do. Stop being a control freak in your life. That's why you are the way you are. Let go. If God is absolute good, the only thing that will happen to you is absolute good. Stop pretending. Some of us are so certificated out that we believe we know. I know nothing. Every moment is a learning moment. So I open my mind and make it available to God. Say that with me. Every moment is a learning moment. So right now, I open my mind and I let God feed me. For I'm a spiritual being, always on the move. My movement has no end. I am infinitely bound. Where I have gone, no man could go but me. So I let go and I journey forward. God bless you.